ready, set, go. And we are here, the Offroad On-Air podcast again. We've got my man Andy, Marley, and myself, Thomas. How we doing, boys?
Hi,
Not too bad, mate.
Winning. Marley, you're looking a little bit rugged up there. Are you feeling the cold finally up there, mate?
Yeah, the cold's finally hit, mate. It's a few days ago on the way to work, it was -1. So that's the coldest I've ever felt. And I tell you what, my bull hairs were standing on the edge, so it was pretty bloody cold.
It's just getting you conditioned for that first time you'll hit the snow maybe this year. Oh, here you go.
Oh, that'll be nice.
Wait till you wake up in a swag in the snow.
Yeah, it'd be I have to have an ice pick to be able to break the swag.
And you have to push that 2-inch crust of frozen canvas back as well too. Oh, it's a weird feeling.
I'm keen for it though. It'll be nice if I get to get down there.
Yeah, nice. Marley, firstly, I want to jump in. You've just started YouTube. Jump in. Tell the fam something I'm really proud of you about too.
Big thank you to everyone that's followed me along my journey on TikTok. I've finally hit 50,000 followers, which is an awesome feeling. So I did make a promise because I never thought I'd actually hit 50K, which was that if I did, I'd start a YouTube channel. So I've started a YouTube channel. It's Marley Grubby as well. And I've got 3 videos up now. One's a story reel. And they're all doing pretty good for a small YouTube channel. And really appreciate it if you guys head over there and just have a look. It's more in-depth sort of videos of what I get up to on the weekends and stuff like that. A few weeks ago when the Brisbane 4-wheel drive show was here, I went out and chatted to a bunch of really idols of mine from when I was younger and still going now. Spoke to such as Sam Young, Graham Cahill, people like that. Bunch of really cool people and lots of the cool cars. So I checked that video out. That's my first one. And my newest one that I posted a few days ago was me and my mate. He's just bought a GU Series 4 Patrol. So we took that on his maiden voyage. He's never been full driving before, and took that to Rainbow Beach. That was a fun little afternoon. We left straight after work. We got there setting up camp at 2 o'clock in the morning, which is always the best time. And then went to Glasshouse and we had a trip around Glasshouse and watched some people trying to do Big Red, which was pretty crazy. But if you want to see a bit more in depth of that, make sure you go check out the YouTube.
Glassy. The best. Loving it.
Yeah.
I appreciate that. That's awesome. Yeah, man. I'm going to be pushing. Say again, Andy.
So that is absolutely awesome, Marley, mate. Congratulations.
Thank you very much, Andy.
I'm going to be pushing hard on trying to promote as best as I can, Marley. Yeah.
Thank you very much, mate. I love watching your videos as well.
I'm super proud to see you come a long way as well too, and to jump on YouTube. Come and join us in the fun stuff. Where the real creators live on YouTube. Yep.
Yeah, it's pretty interesting. It's definitely a different sort of feel compared to making at most 2-3 minute videos compared to making what I like to do is like 10 to 15 minute videos. It's a very big jump and a lot more editing. It definitely takes a lot more than 10-15 minutes to edit a video, more like a couple of days to make sure it's all up to my standard. But I love editing videos, and that's what I'm passionate about, making videos and putting them out for people to see. Not so much my glory life, but just the stuff that I get up to on the weekend, and hopefully some people enjoy it.
The tough stuff, the fun stuff. The sitting on the couch trying to get some editing done. Yeah, I feel your pain. I know that.
Yeah, just finish work and then you're like, oh, I've got to post that video on the weekend. Shit, quickly try and edit it on a Thursday night and have it out by Saturday afternoon. That's usually my upload times. I try and post every second week on a Saturday afternoon. So if you guys are keen to hit the notification, then you'll be able to see when they pop up.
Fortnightly schedule. I love it. Best of luck, man.
Yep.
Best of luck. Absolutely. And speaking of weekend stuff, Andy, you're like heavily in race season at the moment, aren't you? What's going on?
We've kicked off. I was lucky enough to get a seat with the one and only Suits from Leaf Spring Racing. The
Zinger Box King.
The Zinger Box King. Yep, he's the one and only man I know that is legit sponsored by KFC. We done the Forward Drive Shed 24-hour at Bendigo, which is it's a very different style of race. So it's a 3-car team, and for 24 hours you just have to keep one car circulating. This year they had a really cool thing which they called the Hour of Power, where you were able to take all 3 cars out and just cut as many laps as possible. They open and close obstacles throughout the day, and each time you do an obstacle is considered doing 1 lap. So it's your call whether you want to go around and do that obstacle every lap, and then every lap you do counts as 2, or you just want to keep cutting laps. Yeah, it was an absolute ball, mate. And a lot of people said the old 60, she's slow as a wet week and suspension's absolutely shit, but I had an absolute blast, mate. Had an absolute ball.
You always have more fun in those Leaf Spring cars, I feel, especially with the 106s and stuff like that. I've always had the most fun in those.
It's I believe it's a 2H, turbo 2H.
Yeah. Oh no, I was talking about the LM106 Hilux.
Oh, definitely, yeah. I had a LM106 that I put a Commodore motor in, and it was brilliant. They flex fine. Like everyone thinks, Leaves don't flex. They work perfectly fine. You can put massive wheels on them. It comes down to how you treat it, and you can be so rough with them too. They don't break like with a coil thing. You break control arms, or Panhard bushes shit themselves and stuff like that. I never had any issues like that with an LM106.
Yeah.
And same with the 60 for this race, mate. We kept an eye on everything. We tightened up what needed to be tightened up, but we didn't have to replace anything on it. It just kept running all weekend. And you got all these other people with big high horsepower LS swaps and fancy suspension and shit like that. And they're drama after drama. They're in the pits every second lap, fixing something that's not right. Keep it simple, I believe.
Yeah, just goes to show not bigger isn't always better.
No, I mean bigger is fun. There's nothing more fun than an LS on Bop and a big mud hole, but when it comes down to it, and we come away with 3rd place.
Oh, awesome!
Thank you.
Hell yeah!
I saw a few funny videos from that.
Yes. Did you see my video?
Yeah.
Eating lunch while we were doing laps. Yeah, absolutely brilliant. Loved it.
Loving the dual screen action you got as well.
Yeah.
My favorite one that I saw you, Andy, post was just because the obstacle's there doesn't mean you have to drive over it, and you're winching it out of the way so you can make it easier for the trucks to get over it. That was pretty cool.
Moving the tyre out of the way, yeah. So the way the rules are, you have to go between the bunting, and you go over, around, or under, or whatever you have to do to get from one side to the other. And there's nothing in the rule stating, so you can track build like you would when you're out with the mates, and there's a big rock step and you can't get up it. You get a couple of rocks and you stack them in front to help you get the front wheels up, and away you go. They put these tyres on top of another stack of tyres, and the first 3 or 4 cars absolutely struggled to try and get up. Like you could get up on the first set of tyres, but to get up on the second set, your back wheels were trying to climb the first set at the same time. It was almost impossible. So the only way to do it was to winch the car over, putting a stupid amount of load on the winch and all the running gear and everything else. So I sat there and watched, and I sort of thought, well, why don't you just drag that tyre back a little bit, open the gap up and drive straight through? So, and then it is up to you. If you move or modify the course, you can put it back the way it was. Like you can't purposely just make the track harder. It's much like golf. You got to play it as it lies. So if you winch a tree onto the track, the next person that comes through, they now have to deal with that tree. It becomes part of the course. So it's in the rules. It's thinking outside the square, mate, and just getting it done. Trying not to wreck everything, because it's an endurance race. It's not like our usual short course stuff where you just got to do it as quickly as possible. That one you got to play it smart.
It's a marathon.
it is. It's a marathon, and you're not going to win a marathon in the first lap, but you can definitely lose it when you go out there, try too hard, and stick it in a tree on the first corner. That's no, but it's excellent format. Kudos to the event organisers. It was ripper, and I'll be back next year to do the same thing.
Brilliant. Loving it.
Sounds awesome.
I'm super keen to see one of those like endurance style races, because it would be a vastly different. I would feel it would be like a vastly different gear, and at the same time, the people that are running it, a lot of people, like you said, they got massive gear, engine wise, and heaps of PSI, trying to get heaps of boost and stuff, and it's just the calm ones that'll take the cake. They're just so used to having their car tuned for a quick race, not a long race. So changes the game. I love it.
Tortoise in the hair.
Yeah. I love super keen. It's What engine is the leaf spring car? What's
I believe it's a 2H or maybe a 12HT. I think it's a 2H. Is that the diesel?
Yeah.
The 2H.
The 2H is the diesel, and then the 12H is a little bit rarer.
It could be a 12HT. I'm not 100% sure.
That's the fancy
sort of your
one.
standard.
Yep.
It may just be a 2H then, because it's nothing fancy. It's basic equipment, and he just knows how to steer it, mate. It's a good setup.
What are you racing against? Like, what other specific cars?
Look, the majority of the field in any winch truck event is going to be Nissan Patrols, GQ, GU Patrols.
Yeah.
There's one bloke, Yukon, runs a Jeep, and there's another bloke, Border Carpentry, runs a 45 series, or a 40 series, sorry. But that's all patrol running gear, LS swapped. There's not much.
Yep.
There's very few 80 series or 100 series or your 70 series, 75 utes, whatever you'd call them. There is a couple. I've got two mates that have both got 70 utes. One's just put a turboed 1U ZFE in his, and the other bloke is running a very high. The other bloke's running a very high horse-powered LS, I believe, and they are forever smashing running gear. They're just their only option is to put patrol running gear in. You can't keep.
Yeah,
that's
right.
where I love Toyota's engine reliability and the quality of their cars are fantastic, but their running gear is just not up to scratch when you want to start really beating on the car.
Yeah, they don't take impact horsepower at all. Toyota has never been one of those. Yeah.
As I
and look, understandably, the patrol stuff that breaks as well. Nothing's indestructible, but its tolerance is a lot higher than what the cruiser stuff is.
Yeah. All right. Lovely. Well, moving on, we've got some stuff we wanted to discuss in regards to getting out camping. The best time of year to get out camping. Marley, up north, coming into a cold snap up there. Coming into a cold snap. When's your favorite time to go camping?
Personally, my favorite time to go camping is got to be cold winter in the bush with a campfire. That's how I see when I think of camping, that's what I like to think of. But a lot of people up here would disagree with that. They'd say summertime at the beach, Rainbow or Fraser Island or something like that. But myself, I've got to stick with nothing just beats being cold, rugged up, nice camp chair right in front of a hot fire with mates and a couple of tinnies. I just love that.
Yeah, well, I'll have to agree with Marley. That look, summer is brilliant for swimming, by the river or in the beach or something. But considering a lot of us like to go full driving, it's dry and dusty and fairly crap, to be honest. A little bit of rain makes four-wheel driving a lot more fun than what it is. And winter is when you're going to get most of your rain. That's when you're going to have a big ass fire. And like you said, we make fires. We call them an unsociable fire. It's where you have to keep moving your chair back a little bit further, a little bit further, a little bit further until you're sitting in a massive circle where you wouldn't be able to throw a beer across to your mate at the other side. And that probably brings us to another question, unless Tom wants to elaborate on best time to camp. How big a group is a too big a group to go camping with?
Ooh, I like that one. So yeah, my favourite right now. The reason why, because after Easter, down high country way, everything just drops off. The population that heads out, everyone thinks it's a little bit too cold. The flowers in their fancy cars, they stay away from a lot of the high country, and it gets a little bit colder. It's not too cold that the frost set in. Obviously, you still get one or two, but it's not too bad. And the tracks are still open. Come June, they're all going to start closing. So I reckon it's this time is mine. Andy, that one's a good one on how many. Is that like on a convoy, like especially at the time of year for the camp?
Yeah. Well, before I started full driving, I was mostly dirt bikes, and we'd take two-wheel drive Commodores and Hilux Utes and whatnot, and we drive into camp spots now that you very rarely see two-wheel drive cars down there now. But we used to go with shit like one car could tow three bikes, and sometimes we'd have 10 cars. So what's that? That's 30 people, and you might even have more. A couple of blokes might bring their missuses and stuff like that, and it was it was big. Like we made our own little city in campsites, just tents galore. And this is I'm talking the better part of 20 years ago, before all these fancy I mean fridges were around, but we didn't have them. You didn't have the 12-volt luxuries that we have now. So we were basic gas cooker, esky with ice, tents and tarps. None of this fancy gear that you got now. And it was it was beautiful. I actually can't think of a time where we thought there was too many people.
I like that. And that's the thing with colder weather, your fridges is not working that hard. That's most of the time, even in winter, I won't have the fridge on. I'll just bring my little esky and just have that with a few ice blocks. That's enough in the middle of winter. What if it's not cold enough? Just put it outside. The frost will come, cool it back down. Fine.
I have
yeah.
tried a slab of beer. You know how they used to come in the little 6-pack rings. So
Yep.
you take two beers out of the center, tie a rope through the slab, and just leave the slab floating in the river. And then every time you want a beer, you go down, you pull the rope, pull the slab ashore, grab two beers out, off you go back to the fire.
Icy. Icy That's brilliant. I like that. I'm gonna have to remember that one. That one's decent. How many people? Like 30 or 40?
Oh yeah, easy. Yeah, 30 or 40. Yeah.
That's next level. No, I'm like the max I'm normally thinking about is like it's always been cars. It's never been bikes for me. I've never been a big convoy of like bike and stuff like that. So 7, lucky 7. Finding any more campsites that can fit more than like half a dozen cars is really hard. So the more cars you have, the less choice of decent campsites you have because you're just too big. You take up too much room. You can't form a decent circle around as well too. If there's heaps of cars, everyone's too spread out. You can make a decent ring with about 6 cars. The cars aren't taking up too much room. I mean, we all camp out of our cars, so it just makes that a little bit easier. And yeah, it's just a nice little deep mix. There's no more than a dozen people. I reckon that's probably the perfect amount is roughly around then.
Yeah, well, like you're going to say, comfortably 4 cars, I think is perfect.
Yep.
4 cars, and whether you've got 2 in a car or 4 in a car, whatever. It's 4 cars, and 1 car takes up, that area of a camp. And whether it's, a husband and wife and 2 kids, or it's, 4 boys in the car together, I reckon the 4 cars is a good number. It's a good number for a convoy. It's a good group of people to go camping with. When you start adding more, that's when you start getting dramas and headaches.
Yeah,
Dramas
definitely.
and headaches. Yeah. What about you, Molly?
The most people I've gone with in one like group was my mate Riley's birthday. We had a few weeks ago at Lavuka, and that was I just think I counted in my head. It was about 14 cars, but I think 4 or 5 of those were actually Riley's family members' cars, full drives that they've only just rocked up to come to the birthday. So it was more like 9 or 10 cars actually out on the tracks with us. And still, even then, it's quite a few cars. Luckily, we were the only people on the property, but I could imagine doing something like that in a built-up sort of place like the Springs or what's another big one down here, Gordon Country or something like that. It would be quite hard to be able to find a big enough spot for so many people to just congregate around one area. So usually, I don't like to go out. I like going out with a bunch of mates, but I try and keep it between the maximum 6 sort of cars, unless it's a big sort of thing like that where it's someone's birthday and then we've got everyone going out.
Yeah, I like that. That's how many did you say that you went with? 14, was it?
Yeah, 14 or 15 cars, but I think it was between 3 or 5 didn't actually go out because they were like oldies. They were like the grandparents and the parents and stuff. So they had like nice brand new Rangers and Prados that they didn't want to get scratched up and dirty. But then you had all of us young blokes with our P plates and all of our patrols and 80 series. And I think that's literally all it was, patrols and 80 series that actually went out there. And then just all the oldies with their Rangers. But yeah, it was good having that many people just to be able to help each other out. Like when I had Ruby hit that embankment, I needed the help with some other people. But if it's just like you're going away for a 3 or 4 day long weekend, something like that, I wouldn't want to go with more than 4 or 5 cars. Just keep your convoy close and tight knit, especially when you're traveling down highway as well. You don't want to be having 10, 15 cars down the road like what we had a few times.
Yeah, we did that recently. I think there was 6 in the convoy, and there's just me because I do not like sitting at 110. I'm pretty low and slow. I'll sit at 100 on the dot, and when you've got like 5 other cars behind you also doing the same, it makes it almost impossible for someone to try and overtake
Yep.
safely. That is, you just get someone that's just get pig-headed, slam it up to the right. They just right boot down. They'll get past, but
I've got a funny one for you. We went up to
hit
our
us.
caravan.
No, hit us, Andy. We
Well,
love your stories.
went up to my caravan at Lacola the other day, and my uncle rocked up, and we were watching all the convoys of cars come in, 4 at a time, 6 at a time, whatever. And he just started laughing, and I looked at him and I'm like, "What are you laughing at?" And he started talking to me. He's like, "Why do these blokes drive all like up each other's keys? They nearly look like they're towing each other. They're that close." And he said on the freeway on the way in, he goes, there was, like he said, he goes, there's like eight P-platers, and they're all up each other's keister. Maybe one might pop out, he'll overtake one and he'll slot back in, but they stay in formation. What's the planes? They're called the Royal Roulettes or something, the flying formation.
The flying roulettes.
The roulette. Yep. He referred to them as the roulettes. He's like, it's like they're stuck in formation. So it's about a 2.5 hour drive, and it's dual carriageway most of the way. So he said just because he was bored, he kept merging in between them. So he'd come up from behind, he'd pass 3, 4 of them, and then he'd slot in, and then so them 3 would pass him again, and then so he'd pull back out, he'd pass 4 or 5 of them, he'd slot back in, and he just kept doing that for his own amusement as they rolled on down the highway. He thought it was absolutely hilarious. So.
That's pretty funny.
Yeah, and he said as soon as he'd pull in, the bloke behind him put his indicator on and pull out, overtake him, and slot back in front. So yeah, they couldn't get out of formation.
Me and all my mates get pretty pissed because I'm a bit like Tom. I like to. It's not that I like to take it slow. It's just I'm scared to push Ruby over 110, and all my mates are almost 10 k's away from me. I can see them at the end of the highway, and then they've just got me sitting right at the back, like I'm coming. Don't worry, I'm on my way. Then they'll pull over and say, "Where were you?"
Yeah, it's the fact as well too. 90% of the time, I'm usually convoy leader, especially if like wherever it's on the highway or not. There's nothing worse than having the leader just go "Prew," and you're going, oh, I can't keep up. My car can barely do 110 anyway, and this person in front's doing 125. I'm like, well, there you go. There's all my fuel gone because revving the tits out of it to keep up on highway. It's like, no, we just conserve fuel. We're not in a rush. We get to camp, even if it's dark, it doesn't matter. There's a big group. We can coordinate. We can set up. We can help each other. That's fine. Yeah, no, slow and steady wins the race, especially in convoys. Absolutely.
It might just be getting in my old age, but we don't really bother going in a convoy anymore. We'll organise to meet at a designated camping area. Maybe it's where we're going to leave from. Maybe Saturday morning. So Friday night. Some people might come up Thursday night, but we're going to X on the map. That's where we're staying. Get there when you can, because some blokes get held up at work. Some blokes are driving with the missus and kids in the car. They got to stop 3 times, whereas you're happy to just sail on through the whole time. So yeah, instead, and like maybe there might be one bloke doesn't know where he's going and he'll tee up with someone else. They'll go, the two of them together. But if we've got 10, 15, we do some drives with 20, 30 cars. And it's easier to tell everyone we're leaving this spot at 8 o'clock Saturday morning. You get there whenever you want. And that way you don't have that big line of people down the freeway. Pull into a servo when you've got 20 cars. You can kiss an hour or two goodbye trying to refuel every car, and someone's gone in to buy ice or whatever and he hasn't moved his car from the Bowser. It just creates hassle. So yes, simplify, just keep it simple. Everyone meet at the spot, rock up with a full tank of fuel and be ready to party Saturday morning.
Yep. Makes it so much easier. That's why I like La Cola, Andy, because it's bitumen all the way there and you just go, righto boys, we'll see you in La Cola. And we'll leave from the dirt in the morning all together. That's simple as that. Makes us so much easier.
Yeah, that is our base. That's where I'll base most of our drives from. I actually had 2 mates that have got Unimogs come up there the other day, and they just wanted to do a nice little easy bit of driving. And like a Unimog can only do 80 k's down the freeway. So sure as hell wasn't waiting for them. It was just, righto boys, I'll see you there. And I was there. I had the fire started. I'm tipping in frothies. They finally, they would have been an hour behind. Finally come rolling into town.
Especially coming through those hills as well too, especially with the Mog. Jesus.
Yeah, they're not fast. Yep. Yeah, definitely not fast.
Yeah, no, not at all. We're running short of time. We'll wrap this part of the podcast up and we'll come back with part 2. Absolutely. And obviously the Offroad OnAIR podcast here, you can get us on YouTube. You can get us on iTunes and Spotify. If there's anything else you want to hear us on, hit us up. We'll try and make it available on your podcast of choice as well too. So thank you very much, guys. See you in the next one. Cheers.
Sweet as, guys. See you later. See you, boys.
Nope.